Welcome to this edition of Vince and You. My name is OC Vince. Remember, this is African Free Press TV, where we represent and report Africa from a refreshing perspective. On this edition of Vince and You, we'll be looking at a very, very important current affairs issue, the trip of our fantastic President Muhammadu Buhari to France. What are the economic benefits and what are the national security benefits? So we're looking from two perspectives, national economics and national security. What are the benefits, or is it a waste of resources? And with me on this edition to discuss this fantastic topic today is a guest, and I'm going to give her a chance to actually tell you who she is and what she does for a living. Please welcome the fantastic Amanda Chisom to this segment of Vince and You.
Thank you.
Good for having you. Thanks for coming. Can you tell our viewers a bit about yourself, please?
My name is Amanda Chisom. I'm a social media professional, a public relation officer, and vested investor in youth development.
So, you've heard it all. She's in her social media and she does fantastic work on the social media and also in youth development. And I know you're always also into women empowerment,
Yes,
young
women
empowerment. All right, now let's go straight. Now, you are aware of this planned trip. Obviously, he has gone this morning to France to meet the president of France, Hollande. Now, in your perspective, what do you think about this trip from the perspective of national economics and national security? Is it important or is it waste of resources at this very tough time in Nigeria?
I can't really say it's a waste of resources. International relations is the integral part of a national development or a nation. So it's always important to be in good relations with countries. And France is an ally so far, so we're having almost a common problem when it comes to national security. France also had series of cases of terrorism, and they have been able to control it, and they have been able to track down those behind it. So I think we'll benefit from that. So I don't totally see it as a disadvantage or waste of any resources.
Okay, when you say about tracking, let's stay on the idea of national security. When you talk about the ability of France to track those kind of criminals, obviously we all know that loads of French nationals are involved in the militants that fight in with the ISIS in Syria. Most of them, we are talking about tens of thousands of French nationals fighting. And obviously, we also heard about the story that happened not too far ago when 8 French nationals were arrested by the Cameroonian security services, and they were accused of had been foreign fighters coming to help the Boko Haram in this part of the world. Now, what do you think that Mr. President will be looking at benefiting when we are aware that French nationals are also fighting here in West Africa and French nationals are fighting in Syria? What is there for us to benefit from such a society that's got this very massive number of people involved in terrorist related activities or allegations?
You know, the truth is that French nationals that go to Syria or come to West Africa to join the fight in support of the terrorists, the truth is it's a problem of ideologies. You can't hold the nation ransom to that. You can't say, oh, French is responsible for the ideologies of their youth or their nationals. So it's a personal thing, a problem of ideology. But the truth is that we can also learn a lot from France, and I believe that the president will maximize that opportunity. We can do well to gain the technologies they use. So I would want to think that more vested on the transfer of technologies used in curbing crimes and detecting or finding those criminals or looking for them wherever they are. That's what interests me, not the fighting.
Okay, well, talking about the issue of technology, I'll give you an instance. Last week Friday, we heard about the bomb blast in an entirely displaced people's camp in Adamawa, in Yola, Adamawa. And now, personally, I believe that those camps are not very run well in terms of security. Number one, because for me, I would have believed that every person that is an IDP should have their identity recorded, and not just their picture or their name, but their fingerprints or even their iris, because these are part of information that you can never delete or change. All right. Now, if we had used technology to cover these IDP camps, or even cameras on the entrance and exit, so when anybody comes in or goes, it's recorded, and we have to keep this for like 3 months duration in case it's needed. Now, the people that used that bomb, or that dropped that bomb on Friday, we could be able to get some information about them. All right. So I'm thinking, is it like the president needs to go to France to get this basic information about technology when you've got our military officers, our police, our DSS? And before I give you the chance to speak, look at what happened a few days ago about the release of 128 Boko Haram suspects. Now, the commissioner of police, the former commissioner of police of Delta State, CP Adoba, is actually saying that the army are getting too involved in areas that they are not constitutionally allowed to get involved. So he talked about, in our national constitution, you have this place called the Internal Security Operations, that you're supposed to hand those 128 people to the Department of Public Prosecution for them to check their culpability and to check about if they need to be released. To, number one, avoid these people to suing the army for illegal detention. And also making sure that they obtain the right biometrics like their iris, their fingerprints. Because if they are repeat offenders, we can be able to say, oh, these were the 128 that were released so date. And now, after 2 days or 1 month, some of them have now re-offended. So actually, but there is no use of technology in this basic area. So do we have to get our president going all the way to France to seek for basic information that we're supposed to be having here in Nigeria?
Just like every other Nigerian, I was shocked at the bomb blast in the IDP camp. I felt disappointed because it was an obvious case of security lapse. Those people are supposed to be checked before they enter the camp. But when it comes to releasing the suspects by the army, it was wrong. There is no way you will look at it. What are the chances that these people you released were not guilty? And you know, it happened, the releasing of the suspect happened immediately just before the bomb blast at Yola. So some people were able to say it is linked. How are you sure it was not those that were released that actually penetrated the ad? But I want to believe that, like I told you, international relations and diplomacy is a very integral part of any government. So the president visiting France is not a total waste. It might not actually be to discuss these things. It might just be a courtesy call. But he has said that these are the things that will likely come up in his visit in France. So I want to believe that if he went there with people who understand what we are saying, people who know that we need these technologies in place, that they will be able to discuss with France and come up with solutions to getting this technology. Our army, our military is a little bit underfitted for technological assignments. We are still backwards than other Western countries. So I want to believe that the army too has something to gain if the president succeeds in his visit and has that technological transfer.
Yes, because he's actually going with the NSA person. So that's good. But see, before we finish this issue of national security, if you're just joining us, this is African Free Press TV, and you can also follow us on our Twitter handle at African Free Press, or like our Facebook page, or you can check out our website at www.africanfreepress.com. One more before we go further into the economic benefit. On national security, I believe in bilateral relationship. I believe. Looking at what happened a few weeks ago when a valid Nigerian visa was given to a Lebanese wanted terrorist. now
Yeah.
on a fake Palestine passport. I'm thinking this bilateral relationship now, what is the government doing? Because they said to us, we're going to investigate it. It's gone over 3 weeks now. Nothing has been swept under the carpet. I'm thinking, if you're going to France, we'd like to get some information about what happened. Because there are basic information. How many weeks visa was he given? Is it 1 week? It's already there. You don't need to do a special walk to find out this thing. What date was the visa valid? What day is it expiring? You know, what kind of visa? Is it holiday visa? Is it an asylum? Is it gonna come here and live forever? You understand me? Who invited him? Basic information, but all this bilateral relationship. I want to see those kind of things coming out from this kind of trip in France.
Yeah.
You know?
The case of issuing a Nigerian visa, a valid Nigerian visa to the Lebanese terrorist, I was among the people who kept shouting about it. I was disappointed to a level, and I still feel disappointed that it has been swept under the carpet. I expected heads to be rolling by now, technically,
Definitely.
because of that, because they are putting the whole country at a risk. We're talking ISIS. ISIS is the big deal now. Even Al Qaeda fights ISIS now. So you can't tell me that someone had an oversight like that. Who did it? Why was the visa issued? We are not even talking about who was he coming with, because from the information gathered, apart from what the presidency was able to give out, we gathered also that he had people that went ahead of him that actually already in the country. Someone arranged for his stay in Nigeria. Someone obviously invited him and made the arrangement. Who did that? Why is the presidency not finding that? I also wish that President Hollande would ask Buhari questions like that, because those are questions that maybe the president feels the Nigerians don't have a right to ask him, but if the international community is asking the right question, answers will come out. So I look forward to that issue coming up and Hollande asking about that too.
Okay, looking at the economic benefit, obviously, looking at France has got one or two very big multinational here, like the Total and Lafarge, the concrete makers. Now, how many people do Lafarge employ in Nigeria? How many people do Total employ in Nigeria? What is going to be the economic or the business potential out of this kind of meeting that is going to help the youth of Nigeria that has probably lost their dream, that they were promised that you're the future leaders, but obviously we still see recycled levels of elderly men coming back again to rule. So what's the benefit for the youth of Nigeria from the employment opportunity, business potential, small medium enterprise opportunity? What is there for us economically? What is there for us to benefit?
To be honest, I don't think we have any economic benefits from the visit. Lafarge is doing well, Total is doing well, even though in the past few weeks we heard they had sacked some of their workers because of the fall in oil prices, which is expected worldwide. I don't know, but I want to believe that if the topic of economic improvement comes up, that France might offer solution, because I'll keep saying it, we are falling every day. Like, it's like people do not know that Nigeria is in the midst of an economic breakdown. So we need economic policies that will take us away from impending doom. So whoever is giving that advice is welcome. I want to believe that France can offer one or two advices when it comes to economic policies that can help us in the future.
Fantastic. If you're just joining us, this is Vince and you on African Free Press TV, where we report Africa from a refreshing perspective. On today's edition, we've been talking about the trip of President Muhammadu Buhari to France, looking at the national security perspective and the national economics perspective to look at what are the benefits for our national security and national economics. And before I conclude and give you your last opportunity to make your last contribution, obviously we've all heard about the issue of this certain man, I don't want to mention his name for legal reasons, that was involved in the escape of a known terrorist in Nigeria, and now he's been released and he's been reintegrated back into the service with all full honors and everything. A lot of people are asking the question, how come the fight against insurgency is looking a bit like it's been played out on the media profile, Oh, the army is doing this. Oh, these guys are on the run. Oh, these guys are finished. Oh, these guys are dying. But the focus is no longer on the fight of the city. It's more focused on chasing up people of Masab, up and down Onitsha, chasing up people from Niger Delta, up and down. The killings in Plateau State, where people are being murdered in Plateau State regularly, and nobody is doing nothing. But we are seeing people being released from detention. We are seeing terrorists bombing IDP camps. We are seeing young girls being used as suicide bombers. And yet, on the page of newspapers, we hear that they are on the back foot. What is going on in your final contribution?
You know, when it comes to terrorism in Nigeria, so many people are of the opinion that the Boko Haram terrorism was played out to frustrate the efforts of the past administration. Sometimes I'm inclined to believe that, but I always say true terrorists do not stop. I know, I take for example Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda has not stopped. Al Qaeda is not fighting any government, and Al Qaeda still exists. But when it comes to the Nigerian situation, it's really painful to see the fact that we have the Northeast fully immersed on political, on terrorism. People are dying every day. Bombs still go off. Young girls are used, which is sad. And the Chibok girls are still missing and they have not been found. And we have people who feel that the agitation for self-determination of the Southeast people, for the independent Republic of Biafra, is their major concern. I think it's all wrong. We need to reprioritize here. Our priority now should be to stop all forms of terrorism on the Nigerian front, on the Nigerian people. When it comes to the fight against terrorism in the north, I think the northern leaders are going to be the people I blame most. I keep on saying it. The north needs to fight their own enemies themselves before they get the rest of the country involved. If the north is being honest with themselves, their people are the ones getting killed. Everybody is shouting because human lives are being wasted. But if you're going to be releasing those people that have been accused or suspected to have been involved in these terrorist acts, how do you expect the rest of us to take you serious and help you or speak with you when you talk about terrorism? So I think it's basically a northern leaders thing. The northern leaders need to come together. The northern youths especially need to fight for their freedom and their future.
Fantastic. Before we conclude, I remember a statement by a northern governor, that is the governor of Borno State, where he said that the north has taken Nigeria backwards. Obviously, that is his own statement, not my own statement. But the bottom line here is Nigeria belongs to all of us. We are here to believe that the people in power, the army, the police, they need to do their own roles. Don't jump into other people's roles. Don't do more than you're supposed to do. When you decide to release 128, the 10 terrorists, and you hand them over to governor of a state who claimed that he had the military, the police, the DSS there, that is not the procedure of our constitution. Do what is right, so the people across the country can see that we are actually winning this war on terrorism, and not just winning it on the pages of newspapers and social medias and online. Like the issue of like the army took over Gambaru or something like that. It was like it was flushed through the social media. And I'm asking, what's the big news? Is that your job? That is your job. That is what you're paid to do. That's what you're there to do. So that you slept over in Gambaru for a night and you think that the war should stop because of you. People are dying. Although in Nigeria, maybe 7 is not good enough, but the last death of terror in the UK was only one army officer. And people were arrested within 48, 72 hours. They were arrested. In Nigeria, nothing. No arrest has been made so far. Nobody has been charged to court and sent to prison in the war against terror in Nigeria. So who is deceiving who? We want to see arrests. We want to see charges. We want to see prosecutions. But nothing. Thank you for listening to this edition of Vince and You, and God bless you. Remember to follow us on our Twitter handle at African Free Press, our website, africanfreepress.com, our Facebook, African Free Press. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.